welcome to this second episode of Why Engineering series, which got launched day before yesterday with Professor S.K. Kak, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mahamaya Technical University, Colonel Naresh Bana, the Managing Director of BBB Consultants, and Mr. Aditya Barlia of the APJ Satya University. In the inaugural edition, the verdict was loud and clear by Professor Kak that academia has to own the responsibility, academia has to take the lead, and academia has to set out standards of excellence in the engineering education and in turn driving the engineering careers per se. Professor Kak was quite vital about the various interventions which he is undertaking at the Mahamaya Technical University pertaining to project-based learning paradigm by integrating the far-flung engineering colleges with the local SMEs, bringing about teacher training programs, and orienting the incumbent engineering students about the scope and expanse of engineering education as well as the future careers, so that the right expectations are set out right from the beginning. Colonel Naresh Bana, an eminent project planning and implementation expert, was very emphatic in his observation that the attitude of the young engineering graduates is perhaps one of the prime problems of the large employability gap which the industry is facing as of now. More than the skills, it's the attitude and behavioral gap which is driving the project managers crazy for inducting the fresh engineering graduates. So he said with the right coaching and with right emphasis on the faculty members, this right attitude can be indoctrinated into the students at large. And finally, we had Mr. Aditya Barlia, the young and worthy scion of a great industrial empire, and it was heartening to see Aditya to be candid about breaking the glass ceilings which we have in this country, abiding the conventions and I will say the pressure of the peers and the parents all across. He said, do what you love and don't just opt for an engineering education just because your bade bhaiya or neighbor has gone for engineering, or your father or mother had decided right at your birth that you should become an engineer. So today we have with us yet another eminent panel. We have with us Professor P.B. Sharma, a towering intellectual and a giant academician in his own sort. He is the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Delhi Technological University, which was earlier known as the Delhi Engineering College. We welcome you, sir. We have with us Mr. Lokesh Mehra, who is yet another very eminent voice in the space of technology-enabled education. Mr. Mehra is currently the Director of Education Advocacy at Microsoft. He would be presenting the industry view of the engineering education in today's narrative. We also have with us Mr. Ravi Pokharna, the Director of Relationships at Engineering Watch. Ravi has been interacting with the engineering colleges of various genres across the country, and he would be representing the concerns and constraints of the engineering colleges across the spectrum. So we welcome you all, sir. The focus of our inaugural edition was setting out the right expectations. So with the right expectations, students know that the colleges are a platform. Colleges, whatever opportunities they are getting, so they have to take the maximum benefit, maximum utilization of their 4-year stint over there. No one will come with a spoon and feed a student day in and day out in an engineering college. So today we thought of taking the focus of the Why Engineering series a bit further and taking over there that how the geographical barriers in engineering education have been mitigated, are being mitigated and would be mitigated in future. An analysis done by Engineering Watch shows that there are engineering colleges in around 412 districts across the country. So this means that there is the engineering footprints are across. There has been a general trend that the colleges near the metros or in the metros are the better ones, and the colleges who are a bit far-flung from the national capitals or the industrial capitals are disadvantaged. So probably we have with us a very progressive panel today, and we would be discussing that how technology is enabling and transforming at least the space of higher engineering education, and if the colleges really do have the right digital strategy and focus. So even being located in a far-flung area like Banda and Bundelkhand, an engineering college can offer a world-class education with whatever quality of faculty members they have got as facilitators, and we would also try to unravel that how realistic this dream is and how much of the romance element is there in the technology enabled education, and how the role of faculty members is transforming and how the classroom teaching would be changing forward. So since the focus is more on technology, we would start with Mr. Mehra. So having seen engineering education and higher technical education from closer quarters, and particularly from a technology perspective, what is your view regarding that, and how technology is actually transforming the space of engineering education?
So, first of all, thank you, Raghav, and I would just like to take a step back. I think you had a very interesting panel discussion in your earlier session, and I guess the focus was to provide students a platform to understand why they should get into engineering, and what would be the benefits of an engineer, what is the landscape for engineering across India. So I have a small anecdote before I jump to his question. When I joined engineering, we had a very senior eminent professor from our college come in, and he gave us an anagram of engineering. He said, if you take the word engineers and you just jumble it around, that's what an anagram is, you'll see 2 or 3 key words which come out of it. The first word is re-seeing. If you take the letters, and you'll see it comes as re-seeing. So as an engineer, you're expected to see or delve into what is more within that same thing. The second thing you'll see is, if you jumble the words, the word arises is called energize. So an engineer specifically energizes the entire community around him. And if you go on and take smaller letters, you'll see things which come out from as small as, green, which is the new in thing which is happening, to a genie. A genie in a bottle, you may have heard, but an engineer is as good as a genie. Or as simple as sine, S-I-N-E, which an electronics engineer may be doing, or rings, which a mechanical engineer may be doing. So we found that concept very, very interesting and said, wow, this is what engineering is about. And we were very passionate to join engineering, though we were, kind of clueless what stream we should do, what is in store for us. So the journey began, and today we are all engineers, and I'm sitting with an eminent engineer today. So I'm very honored to be with him. Coming to the question that Raghav posed in terms of where technology is being seen in the landscape for engineering, you'll see if you take a couple of steps back, majority of the focus of the technical institutions was specifically in laying down the infrastructure. So infrastructure was specifically, where you had the hardware, software come into the institution. The second part was more in terms of capacity building. Now when you have the infrastructure in place, how do you ensure that the teachers and the faculty who are in these institutes are capable of utilizing them? The third phase, which is kind of running right now, and that's where I would put India, is exploring what the faculty can do exactly with that technology. Because till date, it was primarily an interaction, a two-way interaction. But now the focus has been where majority of the good institutions are trying to upload their assignments, the lectures that they're giving, and students are giving their feedback on that. So the social media also comes into play. The aspect that one needs to be kind of concerned about is what Raghav talked specifically is, where is the infrastructure in the tier 2, tier 3 towns? The good part to answer you about that is a project called NME-ICT, the National Mission on Education through ICT. This is a project which has been churned out by MHRD, which is our Ministry of Education. And they have a budget, extremely huge budget, if I know it's almost about $4 billion per year, where they are interconnecting all the institutions. So we have somewhere about 559 universities and about 33K colleges. So all these universities and colleges are getting connected on the NKN pipe, which is the National Knowledge Network. Once that happens, almost 50% has already happened. And when the remaining 50% get connected, that's when the fun begins. and you'll see the kind of collaboration and communication that happens within these institutions. India has always pushed back, saying that the research and innovation does not happen much, and I think sir sitting out here is the expert who can actually talk about that. But you will see that once the pipe is in place, you will see a lot of the research coming through, which we did not see in the earlier avatars. So I'll halt here, and probably we can discuss more
Yes, sure.
going forward.
So we will move on to Professor P.B. Sharma. Sir, I would like you to validate this entire claim and romanticism which is building up around technology. Technology is being seen as a differentiator and as a differentiator on the marketing collaterals by the large amount of engineering colleges across the country. So how realistic and romantic the situation is, and how we can have an optimal balance on this?
It's really highly romantic, at the same time it's highly inspiring. Let me begin by saying that the question you should have really asked, why not engineering? Why engineering? Why not engineering?
Okay.
Engineering today, like IT today, is everywhere. Everywhere engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And without engineering you are nowhere. That's the position I take as a Vice Chancellor of a technological university. Whether it is music engineering, whether it is sports engineering, whether it is tomorrow's mind engineering, whether it is today's human engineering, whether it is financial engineering, whether it is social engineering, whether it is medical engineering, whether tomorrow drug design is entirely engineering, drug delivery will be engineering and technology driven. So engineering and technology everywhere. If engineering everywhere, I think no wonder people get attracted towards engineering education with such an enthusiastic response in a country like ours. But that's one side of it. The important point of discussion today is how do we create that joy, the thrill and excitement of engineering in our campuses of institutions of engineering, institutions of technology, and surely in technological university. This joy, this thrill and excitement of engineering get added the minute you start exploiting what we call the advantage technology in technical education. The minute you start exploiting the advantage technology in engineering and technology education, the thrill and excitement of engineering becomes multifold. And I think this is the context in which we now wish to look at the National Knowledge Commission efforts which are being employed in this direction. Important thing is that the power of mind and power of connectivity must be working together in order to create this vital thrill and excitement to not only understand and unveil the layers of engineering of today, but to create engineering and technology of tomorrow. So there is a great role which we perceive, in fact, of the integration of technology into engineering education. Let me make a bold statement that engineering education of today is a lame duck primarily because we are using very little technology support for imparting our technical education. Whether it is a classroom where one-to-one face-to-face contact is there with the student, whether it is a classroom connected to the major classroom where lecture is being delivered, everywhere technology enabling is required. And let me make no mistake by saying that students are more technology empowered today than perhaps the teachers. They lose no time in using the connectivity to get the answers to many of the questions which may be boggling their mind. I really sincerely pray that technology becomes the driving force for today's as well as tomorrow's engineering education. How do you really move away from teacher-centric, this Guru Shishya Parampara kind of education with which we are so damn accustomed to tomorrow's education, which will be technology-driven and surely knowledge, innovation and technology development centric. It's not enough for me to know how it happens. It's important for me to ensure how could I make it happen better, more efficiently, with lesser amount of risk and also with much greater convenience and comfort which can be created. We are looking for really major breakthroughs in technologies. Society is looking towards us with a lot of expectations. They not only want people to roll out from Delhi Technological University with high fat salaries and large placement. They're looking at us for solving the pressing problems of the society which are on our doorstep. They're looking for solution of solving Yamuna's water pollution from Delhi Technological University. They're asking us why should dirty drains flow very near to the Technological University and Technological University keep on smiling on it. They're looking at us for solving the problem. Why should there not be energy in abundance in this country? You have people in abundance. Why not energy in abundance? Tomorrow's technology and engineering for tomorrow's energetics has to come out from our. Likewise, they're asking us, why not the transportation system of Delhi is intelligent? Why should you not keep this as a major area of focus for education and research? They're asking us, why should the road engineering not become a major phenomena and you prepare the roads of tomorrow on which the heavy vehicles will move on without causing the kind of havoc which currently we have in rainy season. So society is looking at us not only for the major problem, they're looking at some minor problem. They're asking us, why should the children be born with holes in their heart or abnormal kidney, or why should you not be able to use your engineering with your bioscience and biotechnology so that really you are able to create the kind of enabling environment in which the human race could sustain that joy and thrill and excitement of engineering.
I think Professor Sharma has very well set out the agenda for today's discussion, that the focus has to shift from the fatty packages to the focus on solving the national problems, the local problems, and for which we will be requiring thousands and lakhs of engineers. There is no dearth of employment for them, but the need is to have a shift in the focus rather than becoming a backroom market for some back-end work serving the advanced nations of the country. The academia probably has the vision right. Professor Kak was having the same sentiment what Professor Sharma is advocating today, that the problems, the ubiquitous aspect of engineering in every walk of our national life is looking for the young talent, the young, hungry engineering students who are opting the engineering profession, and the kind of convergence which would be coming in times to come. So from the anagram of what Lokesh sir talked about, that reseeing, energize, green, genie, and the kind of universalization of engineering space, I would now bring in Ravi in the discussion that there was a kind of like, while the romanticism of technology is probably there, Professor Sharma and Mr. Mehra are both on the same pitch that the power of technology should be exploited. But there was a comment by Mr. Mehra that where is the infrastructure? Now, Ravi, who has been interacting with the educational institutions all across the country, what is your view about the existing state of affairs, where the colleges are stopping in investing in technological infrastructure per se? We have fantastic buildings. In fact, if we have an architectural contest of the finest monuments in the country, I think probably a large number of engineering colleges would come on the forefront. What are your views regarding the technological investment which colleges have?
Raghav, I would want to go a little away from the technology part of it. I mean, this is the second edition of Y Engineering, and our first edition was viewed by around 1500 live viewers, and we have reasons to believe that most of them were students and their parents who were maybe, and we've got a lot of questions. Students were willing to know, where are we going if we get in? Where do we go? So I would want to start with a beautiful phrase that sir said, let's not ask why engineering, let's ask why not engineering. So sir, from there, and though I'm still young, but then when I was younger, we used to see engineers as engineer Saab, the way we call Dr. Saab. At that point in time, we used to see, and they were revered and respected as engineer Saab. And today, as part of my job at Engineering Watch, I deal and talk with a lot of engineers and PSUs, senior people in PSUs and industries, engineering companies, and they are upset and they lament about the fact that today students are getting into engineering not as a destination. They want to try this as a stepping stone कि engineering कर लेते हैं, you will get a good aptitude, यहाँ से MBA का रास्ता आसान है और अब यहाँ से IAS का रास्ता आसान है. So engineering इसलिए नहीं कर लेते because you will become a good engineer, but because MBA आसानी से हो जाएगा, IAS आसानी से. So one, I mean, this thought on behalf of most of them, we faced this question a lot of times. Is there a truth in this statement, sir?
Yeah, it's true. It's a true statement, but really speaking, it's very tragic at the same time. You do not need people to become engineer and then run away from engineering to softer pursuit and do little about engineering which they have learned. Really speaking, engineers were supposed to be the daredevils who will greet and meet the challenge which confront them, offer solutions in a manner that challenge becomes a major opportunity, and opportunity then encashed in terms of the growth and development and advancement of the society and economy. This is what engineering really is. People who run away from engineering often end up by doing things which we find that our investment in engineering was perhaps not important. But on the other hand, let's not be too critical about it. If a person gets an MBA degree after engineering, his engineering mind, if he is able to really keep it intact, then his engineering and technology temper, assisted by his managerial acumen, could make him 1,000 times better engineer manager than what he would be otherwise with pure engineering training. So in that context, it is welcome for you to integrate engineering with management. Likewise, it could be integrating engineering with an administrative assignment. Look at the problem you have today. Today your administration is saying that the system is very large, it's inefficient, what can I do about it? An engineering mind would not do that. It would say, oh, India is a large country, India's problems are really more complex, I will use my complex engineering analytical capabilities and arrive at a solution. If Dabbawalas can do it without going to engineering, I tell you, after doing engineering...
So, but just I would like to intervene right here. Who will drive this passion in those 15 lakh odd engineering students entering into the system per se? There is a lot of dejection, there is a lot of rejection in the entire system. Now, this passion, these things, how it can be transmitted to those students who can find out the real local problems and start solving it?
How do you create excitement about Indian films? By showing them repeatedly on the television, often without charging a penny from a student. So if you have to telecast programs like this more often, ask people to interact, let them ask themselves why they want to come to engineering. I was just interacting today in the admission session at Delhi Technological University, and I shared this perception that most of the time parents are coming to me, sir, our child doesn't want environmental engineering. Sir, take him away from biotechnology. Sir, take him away from pursuits like mathematics and computing. I ask them, if you keep your children away from environmental engineering education, why are you blaming them? All your water bodies have gone astray, your rivers are rivers of poison now, they were rivers of nectar earlier, and half the population perhaps is in a very bad shape because of the environmental problem.
I will now move on to Lokesh sir, how your education advocacy is taking care of this aspect.
That the parents understand that engineering is not per se for a job, but it is for confronting the challenges which we have on our doorstep. This dialogue is necessary.
This is probably the industry comes into play, that they have to give a balanced and all-rounded view to the engineering students per se.
Sure, I think I will totally consent with what sir said, that I'll try and concise it. Engineers are problem solvers. They face complex challenges and their whole idea is that they need to go and resolve it. Number two, if you look at it today, knowledge is available everywhere. It's like air, it's free. The point is, how do you know what you have learned, how you can use it? And that's what sir was reiterating. If you, listen to him in the initial talk that he did, he talked about the various areas where engineering is available or prevalent today. And an engineer will go out there and find solutions to what the society requires. Because they will keep cropping up, as simple as holes in the heart to as simple as how do you visually impaired people walk on the street. And for example, Delhi Metro has done a considerable job where they have taken that into cognizance. So that's where the engineering part plays. Coming to Raghav's question, how do you build that enthusiasm? And I just want to take, what Ravi had also talked about. I think monetary, your life should not be revolving around money. Yes, money is an important critical element. But if that was it, Sachin Tendulkar would have stopped playing, 10 years back. He's made so much money. Or a Bill Gates would have not been, spending money on building vaccines or doing new things. So money is important, but that should not be your primary goal towards life. I think that's something very important. So you don't get into engineering because you see a route where you will get a tree filled with money. That's not what is going to happen. You need to be passionate about engineering. That burning ambition in you to try and resolve problems, fix issues, that's where engineering comes into play. Coming to the query, what Raghav had talked about, what are we doing to kind of build the engineering fraternity and share with people? We do similar things. We talk to people, what does engineering entail? What are the various streams that are there? And if I look at, typically the IT industry, do students know that IT industry is, generally split into 4 quadrants? You have hardware, you have software, you have multimedia and networking. So you can get into any one of these streams. People think IT is coding or IT is just software. No, it's not that. Same way, mechanical is split into diverse fields. And today an engineer is no longer considered as an individual. He has to be multidisciplinary. So reinforce that time and again. It is bio plus technology. You need to do both these parts. You can't do it single-handedly. You need to work in a team. That's where your analytical skills and your collaboration skills come to play. And I will define, the ABCDs of engineering. First, an engineer needs to be agile. B, he needs to build. He needs to have a passion to build. C, he needs to be very creative. Creative, and with his critical thinking that sir was talking about, he needs to come and collaborate. And D, he needs to discover. He needs to discover what the society requires. What are the problems that are being faced by them? And then design a product or a solution around that. And if he can't do it in a company, there comes your E. You become an entrepreneur. And that's what the ABCD of engineering is.
I think this initial discussion has probably answered the large number of questions which we have been receiving on our emails pertaining to the courses, the branches of engineering to take. Sir has also hinted about it, that a stupendous career, a magnificent career can be made up in the space of engineering. If you are agile, if you have the passion to build, if you are creative, and if you have the penchant for discovery, and if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, engineering is for you. So that answers that should you enter an engineering college or not. So there is a career in engineering all through. Now what course to pick up, which all the parents are quite concerned, whether it is to be electronics or electronics and communications or electronics and electrical engineering. There are so many variants in the country. Like we analyze the entire list of courses done by AICTE. So there are 220 variants of engineering per se, 220 branches. Now it is humanly impossible to understand and decipher what all is there inside. Largely there are, as Sir has said, that today we are in a multidisciplinary era where engineering is ubiquitous, and the kind of specializations and super specializations and I will say interconnections which are emerging are phenomenal. So any branch of engineering, anything which is available, you can pick it across, and over a period of time, if you are college, which is the second part of our discussion, that how to select the right college, and that was the tone where we came, that how to break the geographical barriers. If you are in a remote corner and if your parents can't afford to send you to NCR for admission in a hefty private engineering college which is charging higher fees, you can still be in a tier 3 town which has the bandwidth, which has the kind of support, and still you can have quality education enabled by technology. So I would again come back to the real focus, and I think Ravi has something to say on that.
Raghav has struck a very emotional note somewhere that I had by talking about branches. And sir, I know Professor Sharma has just told me not to be critical, but then where else and when second time would I get this privilege to share panel with you, sir? I would specifically what he mentioned about branch. If I go back to 2002, sir, and I got selected in IIT, and I had this question. I got a 3,337 rank, wherein the branches were being offered to me were paper and pulp, textiles. So another exam I had given in another institute which was offering information communication technology. So few of my uncles who were quite active in share trading that time, and they said from their share trading experience that IT is the next thing that you should do. And after a lot of research that I had to do with my all CA fraternity that was around me, people suggested that IT is the next thing, and I took this something against textile or something against the productions, etc. I'm not very upset about that. You know, the conditions were then, the conditions were so. Now the era of Wikipedia, Facebook, and WhatsApp. But then, sir, today, we see with the kind of questions that we received and the kind of queries that we get, I don't know if there is any reason to say that situation has changed even a bit. Today also, maybe at that point in time there was the share trading thing which was governing the decisions. But then today also, there is no platform. I don't know which state technical university is taking this initiative, or which colleges or which government agency is taking this initiative to at least explain the students what is the difference between electronics and electricals, or what textile engineer does, or what a mechanical engineer does, and so on and so forth. So
very good question. Really speaking, only lip service is being done.
We have a very candid panelist today, and if the regulators are watching it across, it will be
Except sometimes people like me went out their mind and discussed with them head on, as I did this morning with the parents as well as the students. And I'll be doing much more than this on 1st of August, when I went out my mind for engineering education for next 4 years for those who have taken admission in different branches. Let's be straight on this. We in India somehow or other are too much driven by careers. We are too much guided by the market forces, and we are guided by the salaries and jobs which are available. And make no mistake, bulk of these jobs are available in the IT industry, and they have remained so for the last about 15 years. Situation is not going to change materially much in the coming years unless you take engineering seriously. For example, Lokesh and I both are sweating because this light coming from the sky here, from the roof, was to be light, but it is less light and more heat. Now tomorrow's engineering can create light which will give you more lumens rather than giving you really the more joules which are related to the heat coming from the reflectors. That is engineering. But you can't do it without the science base of modern engineering taken seriously. Physics of today will ensure that engineering of tomorrow creates lights which will be lights, not light plus heat of the kind. If you have solar cells at 16 or 18% efficiency, you must ask a question, why only 18%? So much sunshine is there. Answer is that you are capturing light and heat both on something on which you should have only captured light and transformed that into electricity. So tomorrow's solar cell technology has to be such that you are able to convert both the photovoltaic effect which you have today and the Joule Thomson effect which you can have tomorrow integrated with the solar cell of tomorrow. Then the efficiency will go to 95% without causing the worries of the kind. So tomorrow's engineering can create jobs in plenty for core engineering, for applied engineering, for engineering which will even be new engineering. And let me be very bold with Lokesh. Both of us have shared several times the platform. While the industry should drive today's education should create tomorrow's industries and tomorrow's jobs. And that is the context in which higher education, especially technical education, is to be seen. Unfortunately, we think that we are here for today and not for tomorrow, and that's where the trouble is coming. I would have gone along what Ravi had done, but if I would have made a bold choice to come to paper and pulp industry as a graduate of this country, I would have solved bulk of the problems which we have in this industry. This is a highly polluting industry as of today. This is also industry which has perhaps been blamed for destroying our forest. And this is industry to which we are looking tomorrow. How could I design a piece of paper like this to carry my iCard? Tomorrow it will disintegrate by itself. Molecules will go to their molecule, carbon will to carbon, hydrogen, sulfur to sulfur. I mean, that's paper and pulp technology which engineers can create. But the tragedy, believe me, Sir Raghavji, here is that the disciplines which are most important are least attractive.
Yep.
I think that's a very, very vital point, that the disciplines which are very, very important for the nation as a whole and which will be in future, they are the most ignored ones.
So Raghav, for example, if you look at it about 5 to 6 years back, civil engineering was kind of demoted to the background.
Yeah.
But today, where are the civil engineers?
Yeah.
Where you are having construction, all the core disciplines, agriculture. Believe me, the kind of people required in agriculture engineering are huge. You forget one sector which is going to grow exponentially. It's dairy technology. Look at the amount of food technologists which would be required down the line.
So for the sake of our audience, like who would be the first generation engineers from their houses and their entire family or the communes per se, like what should be the yardstick of selecting? The verdict is clear that there is enough opportunity in engineering as a career. How should the student select the courses? We will come to the colleges part of it, but how the student should really, or the parent should determine that what course should you select? Whatever the knowledge is available today, whatever things are available, what should be the criteria?
The interest of an individual rather than the attraction for a job or a career must be the first principle on which you build up your educational layers of tomorrow. If you are interested in electronics, let you be deeply interested in electronics of today and to create the electronics of tomorrow. Lean towards science for it, lean towards mathematics for it, and surely create that vital understanding of creates capability for electronics.
So probably the students may ask the right tough questions to the colleges they are going about the careers in that particular branch of engineering. If that college per se is able to convince the student about the career rather than the packages, the focus is how their interest or how their long-term careers in electronics engineer will unfold. So that is something, a tough question which every parent or every student should ask every admissions in charge of all the colleges wherever they are going. That is particularly very important.
Rather, for example, a student may say that I love tinkering with electronics. I will open up a radio, but fixing things is not your passion. You may like to do it right now. Are you going to be doing it continuously across the years? Whatever is being taught for the next probably 3 or 4 years is going to become obsolete. So you don't know how technology changes. The whole point that you need to take forward, and what sir has reiterated, is your passion. If you're passionate about something and you feel you can make that difference, then that is where you ought to go.
So Professor Kak was mentioning yesterday that at DTU they are introducing a regime where in the first year of engineering, because there are all general subjects, the student should be given the chance to change their branches at least in the same college per se. What are your views regarding that, sir?
I don't mind allowing changing branches, and we do allow in Delhi Technological University also. First 2 semesters are common, therefore your branch will be upgraded. But for God's sake, try to understand any engineering which you pursue. I was interested in civil engineering. My principal in those days was a very tough guy. He said, you will do mechanical engineering. I said, sir, I'm a little chap, not very strong. How would I move the mountains of mechanical engineering? Civil engineering would be better, at least I can say, correct your scaffolding or do a correct mix for a concrete and do a good job. He would listen. But he saw in me my intense desire to pursue engineering seriously. And that is what I think is important. But yes, upgradation must be allowed, and it is allowed in many places, including in the IITs, where they do allow certain amount of flexibility of switching over from one branch to another. We have much bigger flexibility because first 2 semesters are common. But having said this, let's not lose the point that this pedestal fan which you have is making noise. That's why we have to say switch it off for recording. If you want to create tomorrow's pedestal fan which will be noiseless, energy efficient, and at the same time blowing the optimum air which is required without disturbing my hair and whatnot, which means it should be intelligent enough while it is turning itself, then you need to go beyond electrical engineering. You have to integrate electrical, mechanical, aerodynamic aspects, and also the aspect which will create new materials, in fact, will be coming. So polymer technology, a very high order will be coming. Chemical technology will come in so that the pedestal fan does not become dirty even in an Indian environment which is full of dust, and will retain its glare and its
I think sir has made the verdict very clear. Whatever the course, let's not bother about the courses in engineering. Engineering as a career, if you are passionate about it, you have to go anyhow interdisciplinary. If you have opted for electrical, you have to learn mechanical or civil or chemical, anyhow. So let's break about this conversation, this entire parameter, what branch to choose. Choose any branch. You should have the passion for engineering as a career, engineering as an interdisciplinary science, and you should see it as a long-term perspective. And what sir also said in the starting, that even if you don't like engineering, you can become a good manager, because your engineering aptitude which you studied in 4 years, the kind of analytical subjects which you went through, so that will make you a better manager, a better financial engineer, a better sales engineer even. So I think we will move again back to the focus of our current episode, that how because sir, India is such a vast country, and NK and pipe is coming and going, and a lot of differentiators are being required. Now the 5-star landscapes and the lawns which we see at the engineering colleges have ceased to become the differentiators. The kind of, I think technology is taking that role, because if you are located in a far off place, so what is the technological matrix which you will advocate for an engineering institution? Because still there is not much awareness about that, what should be the larger landscape and what kind of investment I would be putting into. Because every now and then it's a product based approach. Every new technological company is pushing one product or the other. But as a larger vision, how the synthesis between a classroom teaching empowered by technological enabled teaching would make the education in the next era. And
So probably from a student's perspective, I think let me answer your previous question, which was how would a student select a college?
Yeah.
I think the primary thing you need to look at is what is going to happen from a hands-on experience. What is the kind of exposure that I as a student am going to get in that institute? Forget the fancy, residences or hostels or whatever they may have. That's pus. Now you can't do that. On that basis, even a halwai can open a university. So you no longer need to do that. You need to figure out what is the hands-on stuff that you get, the kind of projects that you can get. Can that college, say, assuming it is in a remote location, do I have MSMEs, the small and medium enterprises around that area? Can I go out there, figure out what are the issues or problems that they're having? Can I work with them and resolve those issues? That's what a college can give you, and that's the college you should go to.
Little more than that, if there are no SMEs around, create the SMEs by your own efforts.
Yeah.
Which means your engineering education should give you that knack to create startups and make that area a Silicon Valley of engineering of tomorrow. That's the capability. But I think the context is what can technology do?
Yeah.
My first advice would be technology savvy. And our students are far more technology savvy than perhaps learned teachers are. They immediately use their mobile more frequently. If I would have been coming here, I have to ask 10 people where is Business India Complex. A young man who is a student of Delhi Technological University would have used his phone and used the GPS and reached here without losing vital 10 minutes for which I had to be delayed. Now, if they start using technology, I think in campuses of engineering, of course, the National Knowledge Commission is doing a great job. I'm all for it. But till such time that pipe really comes to institution, nothing wrong in using whatever level of technology you have. Your pocket today with that little gadget called mobile is empowering you to have that vital connectivity. You can use it. You can even have innovations by which any kind of mobile connectivity which I have can be connected to my laptop or tablet or whatever, Android, whatever it is. Today it is restricted to iPhone to my Android. Tomorrow I can do this. If I am a real engineer or real IT engineer or a computer engineer or electronic engineer, I can connect any phone to any device, create the capability. So technology can do wonder, but biggest wonder it will do, I think that's where the catch lies. Today we all are crying about faculty shortage in this country. We have expanded education, but we have not built up the vital faculty capability. You would stop crying for faculty shortage tomorrow if you use technology, because you will develop, in fact, an environment in which teacher and student will learn together through the technology-enabled environment which you have. And the esteem and vital eminence of the learned teachers in great institutions would then be made available to millions more compared to a few hundred to which it is limited to in their own institution. This is the advantage. And the beginning is start using the level of technology which you already possess in your pocket or in your lab or on your
Ravi, what kind of technological preparedness do you see in the colleges, and what kind of index should students should actually look for if a college has an NPTEL? So somewhere or the other it is much better than a college which does not have an NPTEL in that geography. If a college has a better bandwidth compared to a college which has a lesser bandwidth. So probably you can enlighten us more on this aspect.
Use of technology after getting into college is an aspect, but I would like to get reflections of the panel on is technology a solution, or can the technology provide a solution on a situation like this, wherein sir, the peak of queries. I mean, I'll just share a small instance with you. 2.5 years back, Engineering Watch just wanted to see that what is the state of students mentally how do they feel about, how do they take decisions about entering into colleges. And we had released a small press release in one of the local newspapers in Uttar Pradesh. We were inundated with the kind of queries that we had got. I think there were 1,000 queries a day, something to the tune of 1,000 queries a day we started getting on how do we choose college, how do we choose branch, and so on and so forth. So one of the question is, can technology answer that question, that suddenly after the schools are over, in this 2 to 3 months of time, we are inundated with the queries on, students are helpless, they are directionless on what to choose, how to choose. That's one. Second, sir, with your presence here, I want your reflection on this thought. Isn't that time has come, from a corporate or industry perspective, if I were running an industry, I would have thought, as an engineering owner of engineering college or university, I would have thought, where my source is coming, let me go there and kind of see them and kind of guide them. So isn't it the time has come, state technical university or the private university, the colleges, maybe the state technical university, they give a mandate, going back to schools and explain them during their final year of 12th.
Ravi, it's already
explain
happening.
them.
It's already happening, and you will see a lot of the universities have call centers. They're calling up students in the respective schools who are not even graduated from class 12 and apprising them of their university, the benefits that they have, and what is the future that is in store for them. So all that is happening. And as sir said, probably the students are digital natives. They are the ones who have been actually utilizing technology right from the word go. If you look at today a small 2-year kid, he can operate a remote or an iPhone or things. I had a very weird experience where my nephew was trying to go and instead of finding a click button, he was trying to swipe on the TV screen because they're so used to that. So that's where technology comes in, and technology specifically, what sir was talking about. I'll give you a live example. There is a management institute which is actually running a flipped classroom, and I don't know if your students know what a flipped classroom is. In India, and this is happening in India in a remote tier 2 town, where the students are first exposed to the lectures through a video. They do the video at their hostel, and then they come to the class only for discussions and interactions. And that is what the future is going to be. You will no longer have the sage on the stage. You will have facilitators who are there, and you will be running where all the assignments etc. are uploaded on the site or on a learner management system. Or you will have things which are incubation centers. For example, Microsoft runs innovative centers or innovation centers across almost about a huge number of engineering institutes. So there is a lot of things. Why don't students build apps for phones, apps for say a Windows 8? They get monetized for it. That's what the students should be doing.
I think this point which Ravi really raised, and surely Lokesh is convincing us that lot many universities and institutions are reaching out to students themselves, but the attraction of reaching out is primarily to catch them in an institution. The attraction is not to showcase the thrill, the excitement and the joy of engineering.
Or evangelize engineering as a career.
And built up in them that euphoria for joining engineering, for solving the life problems of the society and creating tomorrow's industries or tomorrow's technologies which will empower us with infinite capabilities and specialized skills which humans are supposed to possess. So I think in this direction, I think my suggestion would be, and Microsoft can certainly help us out in this, and National Knowledge Commission can also pool its resources together. Why don't we think of creating a warehouse of engineering education in India? And once you create the knowledge warehouse, not just ordinary warehouse, knowledge warehouse, as again data warehouses, knowledge warehouse of engineering education in India, which should educate you by press of a button and tell you more about a particular branch, its applications, its thrill, excitement, what kind of person it expects to join, what kind of attitude of mind it requires, what kind of flair it requires from an individual, and what kind of future it has in store for the mankind, those kind of things. And also at the same time enough knowledge about what is the state of this education in India, where could you go for the very best, where could you go for that cluster where you find that this is happening, where could you go to an institution which may not be happening in this area, but you, by joining it, could perhaps make it better. Delhi College of Engineering was not an institution for computer engineering earlier when I joined in 1990. But I had mechanical engineering fellows who were deeply interested in computer engineering. They started working on networking and all those in those days. And my mechanical fellows were trying to fail them by saying that he is not studying mechanical engineering. I said, let him do it. Because the campus was filled with a lot of wires hanging around everywhere, connecting blocks, connecting classrooms and whatnot. The chap who did mechanical engineering later on became one of the top leaders in terms of research and development and networking for the IT company. So you have to facilitate that environment. I think the knowledge warehouse for technical education in India could be a project which could be commissioned even by Education Watch. Technology universities like mine would be very happy to join, and I'm sure Microsoft and leading organizations which are desirous of change will join.
I think we are coming to a close of this special episode of ours. The jury is quite clear that technology can really do the wonder, and engineering education in India is probably at an inflection point where a great need has been envisioned by all the industry leaders as well as the academic leaders that engineering as a career has future. There is no discouragement and students should opt for engineering as a profession. The only thing is they have to see the larger picture beyond a BTech in chemical engineering or a BTech in electronic engineering. It is a larger purview they have to see, and eventually the pitch at which we started this episode, that how technology is breaking the geographical barriers. Not every student, the 15 lakh students can't come to the metros, can't come to the larger cities. Enough opportunities are there, enough problems are there in the local vicinities, the engineering institutions are there. The only thing is that technology is differentiating the entire narrative. But before we end, I would like to request our panelists, especially Professor Sharma and Mr. Mehra, to cite at least 5 technological parameters or indices which a student should really explore for in an institution if he has to make a selection. Because let the technological preparedness of an engineering institution should become a parameter instead of just a blind ranking which has been going all through these days. Every college has its own constraints and challenges and all. So what are the 5 technological parameters which a student should actually focus upon?
It's like placing me at the age of 17 and asking me what I should look for, where should I go. Really speaking, if I would have been at the age of near 17 looking for engineering education, I will go to an engineering education where environment is supportive to the growth of creativity, innovativeness, and has an open environment by which I am able to really grow taller rather than in a tight jacketed environment where I would be costed. Having said this, I think the students should surely assess an institution from the point of view of what it has offered so far, what it has done to the society, what it has done to the industry, and what kind of technology preparedness it has for its own classrooms, for its connected laboratories, for portals and programs which it has put together as innovative programs, whether it has the right understanding of engineering of today, engineering of tomorrow. Would it allow tomorrow a student to teach teachers? Would it allow a student and teachers together to deliver the curriculum? Would it then, and also they should look at what kind of industry interface it has, whether industry is a partner in progress in that institution or not already. If not, even then if I have been forced to go to that institution, I would make it happen that industry and institution, they become partners in progress. Today, neither the industry really knows the last word on the subject matter, and nor the dons of the university currently can say with confidence that they know the last word of the subject. That's the situation in which we are. They are driven by the advancement, rapid advancement of science and technology, and therefore I think this is the right time that we need to put our hands together. Let me finish by saying that it's not just enough for me and Lokesh to be friendly. That means university and industry to come together. I would rather look for an institution which creates Panchamrit, which means institution where academia, the industry, the government, the society, and surely its connectivity to research and development organization and professional society is right there. Whether this institution has a working partnership with the industry on one hand, the government on the other, the R&D organizations, the professional society here, and my own society for which it is conscious. I would not go to an institution which cares hell for the society. I would not like to join an institution which has never thought that engineering is not for just jobs, but it is for creating tomorrow's society where prosperity and happiness together would be the hallmark, rather than really speaking our rush for jobs and packages and prosperity. That we also really take it seriously that one of the biggest mistakes which we are making in this country, often we think that engineering is devoid of humanism or humanity. Really speaking, somebody asked me yesterday, who is an engineer? I said engineer is one who fears none other than himself and the society. He has to be scared of himself, which means he makes the correct decisions. His thoughts and his actions must collect together in the right direction to arrive at the right solution and its right execution for the very purpose. But he must be concerned about the society. He should be afraid of the society because minor mistakes made by engineers could create major havocs. And therefore we need to create an environment in engineering institutions where the thrill and excitement and joy of engineering and science together creates that intense desire to keep the interest of society close to our heart. That's engineering of today and should be engineering of tomorrow necessarily in this country.
So 5 points. Number 1, infrastructure. As sir said, look for genuine software for sure. Number 2, ensure that they do have a social responsibility, and you can check it out from the respective sites or portals. Number 3, it is what I call as GUI. In the IT world, it is called graphical user interface, but in our terms today, we'll call it government, university, industry interface. So that's number 3. Number 4, especially look at the output in terms of whether they have created entrepreneurs or not, or it is just a factory mode where they're churning out people who get employed. I think that's very important. And number 5, look specifically for the research and innovation, what has happened, the kind of patents that have been filed by the faculty or what the college has achieved in terms of accolades and awards. And to sum it all up, as students, I would just mention, what you ought to do is, people are never going to ask you where you have come from. They'll always ask you, where are you going? And that can only happen when you have the talent and the passion for it.
I think Lokesh sir's GUI and Professor Sharma's Panchamritam sums it up all. There is no debate of the fact that engineering is a real fantastic career, and with the unraveling of the Indian economy, which has to grow by leaps and bounds in years to come to become a global superpower, which obviously a lot of nationalists are aiming for. And the kind of India has surpassed the 3rd largest economy of the world recently. So engineering career as a passion has to be pursued. Any course of engineering, it doesn't matter. The branches of engineering are just getting integrated in times to come, and by the time you will be graduating, probably there would be a different kind of etymology, different kind of I will say the signature by which an engineer would be known across. The parameters which sir said in the wider framework that the college should have, the interface is very, very vital, because no one has the last word about what the future would lie into. So the college should have magnanimous, massive interface with the industry, with the government, either it's local or the regional, state government or the national level. Interface with the society at large. The social aspect of a college is very, very important, because that is where the problems for the engineers are emanating from. The pollution, because where there is a challenge, there is a drive, and a lot of excellence will flow into there. So I think it has been a very, very meaningful interaction today. We would wait for yet another fantastic interaction under the Why Engineering series on Sunday. We would be having Professor B.C. Mal from the Chhattisgarh Swami Technical University, and Professor Mal would be talking more about from his land of Chhattisgarh as to how engineering careers, engineering courses and engineering colleges should be chosen by the students, by the budding students. Till then, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for being on our show. Thanks a lot to all the panelists.
Thank you very much.
So much.